All right. So today's subject is about uh, online retail. Like if you are buying and selling stuff and you still haven't figured out what's the best way to sell. I think the best way to sell is uh, not generally online. Online platforms, they act like commission salesmen. There's always a cost of selling online. Yes, you can sell certain items easily online, but you'll be paying anywhere from 15 to 25% fees for selling online. So it's not like when you sell something to somebody in like a retail store, you don't have to worry about those fees. I mean, yes, you have overhead that you have to pay an employee, or you have to pay for the building, but you um, you save yourself that 15%, and you have more control over it. So the point with online businesses is that they're not taking the risk. They're like the salesman. Like when you uh, somebody hires a salesman, they still have to pay them if the item is sold. But generally speaking, when the item is returned, uh, they lose the commission, but they don't lose any of the shipping cost or anything like that. Just like the salesman, like if something is damaged to the item, that they're not responsible for it. So they're just providing you with the services so you can market yourself, but you have to know the cost of doing business. So that eBay generally charges about 15%, 10% in sales, and they don't even distinguish between shipping cost or item cost. So altogether, if your item is sold for $100, they charge you $10 in fees right away. But they also have what you call uh, transaction fees, like PayPal used to be. So they charge you 3 to 4%, uh, and they're charging fees like that. They also have like collector fees and stuff like that. They just figured out what most people selling and where they can make most money. So uh, just say 15% flat. So overall fees on eBay. So you're looking at basically out of $100 item sale, $15 for just those fees. Okay, so you got $85. Not really. You have to take into account the shipping fees. That's your responsibility. So if you pay, let's say you sold a heavier item and now you pay $35 for shipping. Okay, so that leaves you with $50 of total revenue. Okay, after taking the fees out. Now you have costs too. So let's say you pay $25 for that item. That's a pretty good uh, return. Like technically you made $75 on that $25 item, but after including the shipping and the fees, you literally made $25. Okay, so yes, you doubled your money, but you have to take those things into account when you're selling. So it's not always about what's the price you got. You have to take into account the fees. So now if you sold that on Amazon, they're even higher. They charge you like 25% fees, especially if you're using them as a warehouse, and uh, so they're just more expensive. Plus, the thing that they do that eBay doesn't do it, like somebody sells something and somebody sends the money, you have control over that money. But on Amazon, it's generally Amazon controlling that money. They don't want you to have that money because they don't trust you enough that, as a seller, they don't think that once you have control over your money, you're going to just take it and run, right? Which is lack of trust. And they just basically put a hold on your money for 30 days. And then after that, you are able to get the money, and which is fine for sellers. They get used to it, but you understand the point right there. So there's additional delays, inconvenience involved for the sellers. So now within those 30 days, if the um, buyer says, I don't like the product, now they're going to give the money back to the buyer. They're not going to charge you a commission, but you are stuck with the return shipping. You are stuck with shipping costs. So you are going to be paying, which they make money on the shipping, by the way. They have their own shipping services. So, but you are stuck with it. You have to pay for it. Uh, so you just and then you deal with the return. They don't have any risk over there. So same thing with eBay. eBay does the same thing. They return your commission, but you are stuck with two-way shipping. So on that $100 item, if you sold it online and you basically paid $35 shipping, okay, and they returned it, they said they didn't like it, eBay will let them return it. They will refund you the $15 commission, but you will be stuck with two-way $35 fee. Okay, so not only you lost $70 on that transaction, there's nothing you can do about it. That's part of doing business on eBay. So keep those things in mind. Now, if you're selling it locally, like uh, Facebook Marketplace, or you're selling it on a retail store, you don't have those things to worry about. Like you don't somebody who's gonna come to your location and then they're gonna buy it from you. There's no shipping involved, so you don't lose that $70 if they didn't like it. All they have to say is, I don't like your item. Now you can say when you're selling that I don't take any returns. So if you're buying it, no, don't even think about returning, and that's your policy. You can set your own policies for your sales because you're describing the terms. And then if somebody doesn't want to buy it, that's fine. But if you want to be nice and say, yeah, I will take returns if there's anything wrong with it, you can do that. But generally, a lot of cash sales locally, people don't let you return, and that's an understood fact because you can't cancel a cash transaction. Credit transaction can be canceled. So credit card companies will defend you if somebody pays you with Venmo or any other PayPal or credit cards. That's one of the reasons when you are selling locally on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, you do not accept credit payments if you don't want to return it or if you don't want to be scammed, because there are a lot of people who would buy stuff and then cancel the transaction. It's very hard to fight those things because you don't really have any way to say that you actually gave them the product. So that's one of the reasons why when you do these transactions, basically it's cash and sales are final. So you don't have to deal with returns. You don't have to deal with those commissions. So in this case, if I sold this $100 item on eBay, they will get 15% commission. So I can easily list that item for $85 locally. Now, if you take into account that $35 shipping, I can easily list that item for $50 locally. Okay, so the shipping company doesn't make the $35. eBay doesn't make the $15 out of that $100 sale. All the money savings goes to the customer. Think of how easy it would be to sell that item if you did that. Okay, it's hard to understand this, but yeah, I mean, as a seller, you have to know that. Now, let's say that you know you don't care about the shipping. It's a very lightweight item. It's like $5 for shipping anyway. So let's say you mark your product down just 10%. Like you sell that for $90. So it's always better to sell it locally, especially when there are no fees or shipping involved. Okay, and then you don't have a hassle of returns, which is another cool thing about it. So and you generally don't get scammed. You show the product, and a lot of people still to this day don't trust online seller, even though Amazon have excellent return policy, like as a buyer, you can buy stuff and say I don't like it, and they'll give money back. But there are still people, like for some certain times, like you don't know what you want. You want to talk to somebody, like a technical advice or anything like that. That's something that online platforms don't give. You can find the product, but if you need to know, let's say buying a certain part, and then you need to know if it'll fit your need, and you can't do that with Amazon. You buy it, they ship it to you, you wait for a week or whatever the time it takes, then you try it. If it doesn't work, then you return it. It just slows your projects down. So now if you find something locally, you buy it, you can see it works because it's right there, no delays. You get the items right away, and you know, and if that person allows you to return it, you can return it too. But the bottom line is, if you know exactly what you're getting, you don't have to worry about it. At the same time, you can get technical advice from that person. You can ask them questions. There's a human interaction involved, which makes that transaction valuable. So I generally try to take advantage in my sales locally of all these factors. So there's a different element involved when you're making local sales. So I've sold quite a few things on eBay, so it's not like new thing to me. And I've sold uh, when certain items don't have a lot of local demand, uh, and you want to sell things faster. Uh, it's easier to sell on eBay, but if you like smaller items, they're not very expensive on shipping. It just and you can still make some money off of selling those things, but you do have to keep that factor of cost involved of doing business online. So yeah, I done Amazon. I didn't like their amount of fees and the policies, so I stopped doing that. eBay is better, but even then, you have to know the cost. So if you're trying to sell heavier items on eBay or Amazon, just be aware of the losses you will take if somebody returns the item. See, as a platform, these online retailers have uh, zero risk involved when it comes to return. They're not paying anything for return items. They don't have to worry about restocking it. They don't have to worry about return shipping, nothing. So it's you who, as a seller, who has to worry about those things when you are selling using their platform. So uh, if you don't think about these things and you start a business and you're getting a lot of returns, your business is going to close down. Plus, and if you're not paying attention to all those fees, you get shocked in the end, like, oh, I sold $50,000 worth of stuff, but half of the money went into fees and shipping. And and of course, if you take the cost, you only stuck with 25% of your revenue, which is really low. So $50,000, you only made 12,500, and then of course you'll have other expenses too, like transportation and all that stuff. So you see what I'm saying? I mean, you could be left with very little out of your sales. So if you don't watch those things, you will have to sell a lot more stuff to make the same amount if you are able to um, figure out what sells better locally first, and try not to sell heavy items online, and sell items that are less likely to get returned too. Now, I've sold few items that I know are problematic, like printers, for example. Um, and of course, I sell used printers. Most of them have ink uh, issue, like the ink gets clogged, or some people just don't need a printer because they don't have room, or they just get a smaller printer, or whatever the reasoning may be. But if you find a used printer for a good deal, and then you put any ink in there, test it, everything works, and you sell it, something happens in the shipping, you have to deal with the return, all that stuff is your expense. If the buyer can't install it, let's say they have a really old computer or they're really poor in technical expertise and they don't know how to install those drivers, now you're stuck with a return too. That's part of the sales. So all those things are, you have to take into account. So try to sell items that are simple, uh, that are valuable to person. They don't take much return and they're lightweight. So you don't, even if they just change their mind, you don't take losses because of that. So that's what's going to affect your bottom line, like how much money you actually making with a business. So don't be happy that you made $100,000 in sales. In reality, eBay took $15,000. Shipping companies took $35,000. Your cost was $25,000. You were stuck with only, you were left with $25,000, which of course, after other expenses that you have, you only made uh, probably $10,000, $15,000. That's not a lot. So that's one of the reasons why you have to pay those things, pay more attention to those things, because if you want to grow your business, you have to keep an eye on those. eBay is not gonna be watching your expenses. It's your responsibility. eBay is just providing you with a platform. It's up to you if you choose them or other platforms. So uh, lately I've been finding out it's much easier to sell certain items locally, and uh, there's money there too. So if you can't sell something locally, then by all means list it online and expect uh, those things when you are selling it. So if you sold those, don't expect that you're going to make all the money. So you have to pay attention. Like if you sell a printer, charge for shipping. So if you're selling a printer for $100, charge extra for shipping. So you only you're making some money. Like I noticed some people like $100 printer. Some people don't even pay attention to the weight and they just list the item for, like I've seen so many people have wrong dimensions and weight on their product when they're listing it. That's bad for your business. You are always going to pay more for shipping, and they don't care as far as it's just more risky. So yeah, find out what products actually is sellable. That's one thing, but also the product that doesn't get returns or many returns, that's another product too. So I mean, and generally it depends on the person what you're selling. Like I've noticed that a lot of people are getting more technically, like the computer hardware is pretty uh, easy to install and a lot of people can do that, so it's not that hard and a lot of people don't get returned. But printers, generally speaking, um, are still high return. And anything complicated, let's say you sell something heavy, expensive and complicated online, you have to be prepared for a return on those things. And so if you paid, like sold a $500 item and you paid $100 for shipping and they didn't like it, you'll be paying $100 for return shipping. You lost $200 off that item. So yep, just be careful. I wanted to give you that insight. So if you're doing your online business, try to be smart about it. And I mean, you can choose what's best for what product you're selling. So if you can ideally make a business so you can sell everything, you can only get the items that you can sell locally and not have to deal with online platforms, that'll be the best. But of course, it'll be hard to grow your company fast. With online retail, you can find so many more products, especially smaller products that are easier to ship. Like they send stuff from China with the cheapest way they can ship it, and you get like I've seen people making pennies on a product, but they making something, so they don't mind doing that. It's a lot of manual labor. I wouldn't do it. I won't sell anything less than certain amount. I mean, 30, $40. I will like, I wanna I wanna sell and make some money. It's not like I don't care about the revenue. I care about the profit. So yep, find the right product, sell it locally if you can. If you cannot sell it online, keep that in mind, that there will be certain other costs that you will be dealing with, and choose the right platform for your sales. And uh, that's the way to grow business. So um, and yeah, keep your costs to the minimum. Okay, thank you. Bye.